Let's take a look at Scott's way too early 2023 first base rankings up next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5. Today is Tuesday, October 25th. I am Frank Samfeld, joined by Scott White, and let's take a look at his top 5 rankings. Then we'll get to the top 10, but it starts with Freddie Freeman. No surprise there. Paul Goldschmidt, who just had a tremendous season. He was the second best player in fantasy behind Aaron Judge. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is 3rd overall at the position. Pete Alonso is ranked 4th, and then we round out the top 5 with Matt Olson. Scott, I can tell you that Paul Goldschmidt over Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will be an unpopular take in the rankings come next year.
Yeah, and let's see if I actually stick with it, because I have a way of, making these early rankings before there's much draft data to go off of, and then chickening out when I see I'm on the wrong side of something. And kind of my whole strategy with my rankings is if I like somebody more than the consensus, to rank them as low as I can get away with ranking them to still get them. But of course, that's harder to do at the top of the rankings here, where you're talking about maybe late first round for the best of this 4, and then second round for probably all the others. Maybe in some shallower leagues, some of them slip to the 3rd round. But yeah, I got Freeman. Freeman was actually the number 3 player in Roto leagues, number 3 player, not just first baseman in Roto leagues this past year, despite disappointing with the home run output in his first year with the Dodgers. There isn't anything in the underlying numbers to suggest that's the new normal for him. So if he finished that high despite disappointing in that category, imagine if he gets back to normal. I think Freddie Freeman is the safe choice for number 1 here. Paul Goldschmidt, he's getting old, but he showed that rebound 2021 season wasn't a fluke and actually got even better. And so I'm going to be careful not to discount him. I don't want to discount Vladimir Guerrero either, because of course he showed a big upside. In 2021 was the number 1 player in fantasy, even despite not being a base stealer. But he showed his downside in 2022. Ground balls were an issue for him. The power numbers declined. The batting average, I thought, was disappointing given how little he strikes out. So he might be the most popular choice to go number 1 overall at the position, given his youth and given what he did in 2021. But I'm going to be careful not to reach for him. And truth be told, I'm probably not drafting any of these guys, because position scarcity is going to be such a big thing for me in 2023. And first base looks like the deepest position to me.
All right, well, let's get into some of those deeper names then. 6 through 10 in the rankings, we see Anthony Rizzo, Jose Abreu, Rhys Hoskins, Christian Walker, and C.J. Cron. Anthony Rizzo has a player option for $16 million, so he could wind up a free agent. Jose Abreu is also a free agent. It sounds like he will not be back with the White Sox. Christian Walker is an interesting name on this list, Scott, where he put up a career season, 36 homers, 94 RBI. And based on his expected numbers, he could potentially be even better. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he did improve a lot with the batting average in the second half, but still finished 15 points below his expected batting average. I think whenever you see that kind of gap between actual batting average, expected batting average, that's according to StatCast, by the way, the shift likely has something to do with it. Christian Walker was one of the most shifted upon right-handed hitters. So you could see how maybe that contributed to the lower than expected batting average. And with the shift limitations being put in place next year, that could stop. Now, is Christian Walker actually this good? Because nobody was counting on him for much of anything heading into 2022. Underlying numbers say he was, but his track record says, no, he's not this good. And so I'm not totally comfortable having him ranked 9th at this position. CJ Cron, who's right behind him, could make a case for him to be ahead instead. Even 2 who are off the board here for the purpose of this podcast, number 11 and 12 on my list, Nate Lowe and Vinny Pasquantino. I mean, there's a case to rank them ahead of Christian Walker. I'm probably going to end up ranking Vinny Pasquantino ahead of him when all's said and done, just because I like the underlying numbers so much, and I'm sensing early on that there's going to be a lot more enthusiasm for him than I initially thought there was when I made out these rankings. I don't want to miss out on that because I like Vinny Pasquantino an awful lot.
Vinny P, baby. If you want to hear more about him, then you can do so on our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, which you can listen to on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, your smart speakers, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. We'll be back again on Thursday morning. Bye-bye.